Welcome to this podcast. This is a very special podcast that we are planning to do every week. This will be a series of question and answers, especially to benefit the seeking individuals, both young and old, who are looking for a greater truth in what has been told in the past. So, as a first subject, we are planning to do on the Giza Pyramids, because there is a lot of theories and facts which are going around, especially with the amount of information now available on YouTube and other online resources. So we'll start off with some basic facts about what actually is the pyramid. So I think let me introduce my grandson, Joel. And he has actually been in the habit of asking a lot of questions whenever we meet. So we thought we'll make it public so that benefits everybody. Yes, Joel.
So, what is so special about the Great Pyramids?
The Great Pyramids, especially in Egypt, are the three pyramids. The speciality about is a very cosmic dimension with which these were built. In fact, the Orion's belt, the stars, exactly coincide with the pinnacle of the pyramids. The image attached shows the planetary alignment with the Giza Pyramids. It only happens once in 2737 years, which is roughly 1/12 of the precision of the equinox through the entire zodiacs. Yeah, and also we see that these pyramids were built with certain technology which was never available even to us today. So the great question that comes up is, how did people build this pyramid, number one?
There are a lot of conspiracy theories about that one.
Yeah.
Some people say they used ramps. Some people say that aliens came down and used water and vibration to lift up the rocks and put them in place. So what is the truth?
No, see, the truth is very difficult to find because it's all buried in the past. But I don't think that really the methodology really matters. But the common understanding is that these pyramids were built with very advanced technology. Whether it's a vibrating sound that lifts up stones or big ramps that could build with 10,000, 20,000 people doing it. These are not exactly known to us today. But basic technology which was used at that time was very advanced technology. This much is understood. And that relates to the age of the pyramids. So
why did they build these pyramids in the first place?
Yeah. There again, current understanding from archaeology is that the pyramids were built as a burial chamber for royalty. Because the Egyptians believed in afterlife. And that's why they used to, keep certain offerings for the dead. And the offerings became very rich and very, very fabulous when the royalty was buried. In fact, there was a concept that when the royalty dies and the pharaoh dies, he is always buried with two maidens so that he could have company in the afterlife.
Nice.
So this was all something which was happening as a matter of ritual during the early periods. And this we are talking about the pyramids, which history can be traced back through our findings about 4,000 to 5,000 years back from the first dynasty. But the actual reason was totally different.
So what was the real reason?
The real reason the pyramids were built was as a power source.
Oh, man.
See, originally the entire pyramid was clad in limestone.
Okay.
Now you can see only a bit of it on the top. Other stones were sort of robbed by people who wanted to build their own houses.
Okay.
So these stones, these limestones, which is as a covering, had the power to attract the energy from the cosmic energy and then act as a conduit, as one of the electrodes. Then you will ask me, where is the other electrode? Like a battery means, where is the other electrode? The other electrode was actually, if you see today, there are a number of channels at the bottom of the pyramids. And the river Nile used to run very close to these pyramids. And they had inlets to the pyramids at the bottom, and water being a good conductor, used to be acting as an electrode to draw the energy. So this was acting like a super powerhouse for the entire neighborhood. And also, since the power was, at a cosmic dimension, you had this power which was keeping the people surrounding to almost about 200 to 300 kilometers radius absolutely healthy.
Wow.
Yeah, this was the real purpose of the pyramids were built with certain amount of architecture, certain amount of dimension, all that. And if you take the Giza pyramids, there is a lot of relation to the what we now find as the phi, the constant phi. Phi is actually the Fibonacci series.
The golden ratio?
Golden ratio. And pi, which is the normal irrational number which defines geometry to a great extent, also you find close relationship to the dimensions of the pyramid. And if you take the tangent along the vertical slope of the pyramid and you make a cross section, you have the earth diameter at the bottom and the moon diameter at the top.
Oh.
So that is the thing. So these are the things that the pyramids were actually built for. And pyramids were not built 5,000 years back, as normally now today conceived in archaeological history.
But?
Not in the first dynasty, but it was built much, much earlier. And one of the proofs why it was built much earlier is not only the technology that went in, but also because you look at the Sphinx.
Yeah.
The Sphinx has got certain etchings, certain erosions.
Yeah.
And if you look at the erosion, how do you find the erosion?
They are vertical.
If it is only vertical from the ground, it cannot be due to the sand erosion of the desert. It was actually the raindrop, the rain, constant rain in that region that produced these vertical, aberrations in the Sphinx. Which means if this place was to be covered with entirely forestation and water, it has to be much, much before 20,000 years before the Ice Age, when everything was green in the subtropical and tropical area and Europe was covered with ice. This is the image of the Sphinx, which was excavated from below ground level, and it sits pointing directly to the east. The erosion marks on the face as well as on the sides are clearly vertical to the ground, indicating that there was heavy rainfall in this region. This is one of the theories which has been put forward by archaeologists. So this is the reason that we find that the age of the pyramid is much, much larger than what we today assume to be from various scholarships.
Okay.
But there are people who are now talking about this age of pyramids being very much older, could have been built by aliens that we don't know. We will probably cover this in another topic when we are looking at it in the future. Any other questions that you got?
Yeah, so how were they able to, build the pyramids with such accuracy according to, like the cosmic dimensions and stuff, like the dimensions of the earth, the dimensions of the moon, how they've captured everything?
Yeah, that means we had super intelligence at that point of time who understood, the entire astronomy. They understood. They also understood how to calculate. Geometry was very advanced, and they could, arrive at all these dimensions purely by a more rigorous mathematical, theory. So this intelligence which was there, which built these temples, were not ordinary human beings not of an alien nature, need not be, but of a civilization which was much more advanced in the earlier times.
Have we lost that intelligence?
Yes, we have lost that the technology and the civilization, mainly due to a great catastrophe, which we'll talk about it in another topic, because this particular short video may not be able to cover all that one. So what we want to leave at the end of this particular podcast is that the pyramids are very ancient, very advanced technologies, and we had the purpose of the pyramids was not just a burial chamber. I think this is quite a nice dialogue.
Yeah.
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to spread the message, and we will continue to do this so that many people get benefited by this knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tata.
Thank you, dear.